10.
Hey guys, so welcome to PDHP with Miss Power. Today we have a special guest with our Olympic 400 meter hurdler. Her name is Sarah Carli, and welcome to the chat, Sarah.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm Sarah Carli, and I'm a 400 meter hurdler, and I just come back from the Tokyo Olympics.
Perfect. So can you tell us a bit about your event, how you got into it, and where you're on your journey with it?
So I started little athletics when I was about 9 years old, and that's probably, I guess, like a lot of athletes, that's how I got into the sport. I was originally a distance runner, actually. I was so tiny growing up. So I did hurdles when I was sort of, 10, 11, 12, and then I had to kind of give it away for a little bit because I just couldn't get over the hurdles once they upped the height. So I was a distance runner, and then when I was about 15, I started doing some 200 hurdles just through school, and I had a bit of success with that, and that's when I met my hurdle coach, Mel, and I guess sort of the rest is history, and I've been with her ever since I was 15, and I guess when you're a hurdler, you either sort of decide to go to the sprint hurdles or you go to the 400 hurdles, and with someone like with a bit of a distance background, I think the 400 hurdles was just a natural progression for me. And I've just been a 400 hurdler ever since.
Yeah, perfect. And have you always been running, or did you have a time where you stopped running, or did you just continue from a junior straight into the open athletes?
So I would say that I've run my whole life. When I first started doing 400 hurdles, I went to the World Youth Championships and the World Junior Championships. And then I guess sort of when I finished school, I didn't stop running, but I took a massive step back, I guess. Running wasn't my main priority. So I kind of, I guess, took a step back from that. Like, it was unintentional, but from that elite kind of, I guess that's what you call us, like the elite level of sport, just to sort of finish my uni degree and stuff like that. And I guess sort of in 2018 was when I guess sort of came back to the full level of training that I needed. And I went to World Championships in 2019 as well. So that was kind of my first senior team back.
Yeah, that's incredible. And tell us about those world champs. What was the highlight of that meet?
I think I was really lucky because it was my first majors. I think the best thing was my coach got to come with me. So we got to go and experience that together. And it was just really nice to be kind of back in that like elite team environment and getting to travel and go away. And we were really lucky, and we went to do our pre-camp, which was in Italy at the training base there. So the AIS has a training base in Italy in Varese. So I got to spend 3 weeks there. So I think that was good, like the whole experience that comes sort of along with like competing at a majors, which is something that we didn't get this year in Tokyo because we didn't get to go on a camp and stuff. So that was probably the best part, I guess, the whole experience.
Yeah. And so I guess leading up into Tokyo, we know last year you were stuck in COVID. Were you able to train properly last year, or were you sort of confined with what you could do?
I think last year's lockdown, I found like our local track shut, which was probably the biggest thing. But I guess in the off season, and because we had such a long off season, so we had 10 months of like uninterrupted training, which is, I guess, unheard of because the season got like cancelled. I didn't personally get disrupted too much because I normally train on the grass anyway. So we just kind of had to convert a few sessions to the grass, which probably wasn't a bad thing. So we just missed out on those track sessions, but I just didn't get probably the thing that we missed the most in COVID was the racing opportunities, like that high sort of like the high intensity racing. But in terms of my training, I was very lucky.
Yeah, great. And so did you feel like it impacted at all coming into the season, or were you feeling pretty confident that you'd done what you needed to do in the lead up, knowing that the summer coming was going to be the Olympic qualifiers?
So I think the extra year for someone like me, I found it, I thought it was a positive thing. It gave me another year to train. And when I came out of my off season with that 10 months of just pure training, we were able to kind of target areas we wouldn't normally have the time to target. So we worked on my speed and we worked on my fitness. I ran a PB in my 200, my 400 and my 800, so across the board, we were able to work on everything. So I think it was a good thing for me, personally, having that extra time to train.
And for those people that don't know, I'm also a sprinter and got to compete against Sarah at the start of the season, and she beat me.
Actually.
Yeah, it was really good though. It was really fun. She was on my outside, so it was great to have someone to go around the bend and chase. But yeah, and you also came out and ran an 800. And there were some big scalps in that race as well. I think maybe were you surprised, or did you know you've covered all bases and you were in for a good season?
Oh, we did two 600 time trials once the track opened in about September. So I knew that I was in good shape off what I ran the 600 in. So we knew I could do about a 210 for the 8. I reckon the 200 was a bit of a shock, if anything. But I knew I was fit. Maybe not as fast. That's probably the thing that I've always lacked is my speed, and that's something we've really worked on. So yeah.
That's awesome. And so talk us through the lead up to Tokyo. So I know you had some setbacks, but I'll let you explain it to everyone. So tell us your journey in the last 8 months, where you were and where you've come from, and the journey to Tokyo, basically.
So, like I said, we had 10 months of uninterrupted training, and my first race of the season for 400 hurdles was in the end of December, which is probably a little bit early for me. But we just decided we've had so much time, and I ran a 400 hurdles at Bankstown, and I ran my Olympic qualifier, did a massive PB first race of the season. So yeah, I was in career best form in December of 2020, and I sort of got my qualifier, and that's kind of the big, the hardest thing to get is getting that qualifier. So we had done the hardest part of qualifying. Yeah. And then in February, I was just at the gym doing a routine training session, and I slipped when I was stepping up into a box with a bar on my back. And the bar came down to my neck, and then I had to go to hospital because I had cut my chin open quite badly when I slipped. And after going to hospital, they said everything looked good, and after having a seizure, it sort of prompted them to do more testing, and they found out that I had dissected my carotid artery. So it's an internal tear in the wall of the main artery that supplies blood to your brain. So I had to have emergency surgery. And from there, they said, no exercise for 5 months. So, yeah, so it was that morning, I was just at training. And then by that night, I was in ICU, and they were like, you're not exercising for 5 months. So,
and this was what month?
The end of February.
End of
2021.
February.
Yeah, this year. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So at that point, they were like, you're not going to be able to go to the Olympics. So yeah, I went from career best form to that very quickly.
That's insane. And so what was talk us through your thought process. You've just been told definitely 5 months, and it's incredible surgery that you've just had. You're in ICU, you've qualified for the Olympics, but now all of a sudden you're not going. So what's going through your mind?
Well, the way I thought, I was like, doctors always have to tell you the worst case scenario. So I was kind of like, well, that's the worst case. And for me, I was like, well, I'm still going to try. Even in my mind, I was like, well, I'm still going to try. I'm still going to do everything to get there. And I was really lucky the team around me, when I had to get scans kind of every 4 weeks. And after that first 4-week scan, when it healed quite well, they were like, okay, we will consider doing it. And from there, we kind of started a plan to slowly allow me to get back to exercise. But yeah, the thought process for me was I'm still going.
You're still going. I love that. Did you have any signs up in around your house, or sticky notes, or any quotes that were going through your head to keep you on track?
So this is something that I do every season, is I print out the time that I want to run. And we have it stuck around my house. I've done that for years. I think since 2018 we've done that. So I have the time that I want to run that season. I'm not like a massive quote person. There's a few that I really like, but I'm more like visual with that time that I want to do.
Yeah,
that's probably one thing.
And were you doing lots of visualization or anything like that, or you were just focused on getting that time, focused on getting the rehab done?
So in the first 4 weeks, I wasn't allowed to do anything at all. So my heart rate wasn't allowed to go over 120 to allow the artery enough time to heal. So they didn't want any large amounts of blood to get pumped through it, because they were worried that if it hadn't healed properly, I could rupture. So the first 4 weeks, I could not do anything. Like I literally sat on my lounge. So I did a lot of visualization, like visualizing me lifting weights in the gym, and I did a lot of meditating and like visualizing the artery healing. I did a lot of that. Like there's quite a few, like I found some guided stuff online with, sending all like the positive energy to that to help it heal. So yeah, I did a lot of that in that first 4 weeks. I had nothing else to do.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And was there ever a moment after that surgery, coming back into your training where you're like, this is just too hard, like I don't think I can do this, and then you were able to snap yourself out of it? Or was it always go, go, go?
There was definitely like days, and I kept a journal, which is something that I've never normally done. And I have kept a journal. And if you read through the journal, it's like back and forth. It's like, I don't think I can do this. I think I can. And there were definitely some days where and I've said this to a lot of people, like previously when I got out of hospital, I couldn't even walk down my driveway. And it was at points like that where it's like, and they've like, it's 100 days to the Olympics. And I'm like, I can't even, like my body can't even walk. And it was like, sometimes like that, I'm like, I just can't, like, I can't even see myself getting around a track when I feel like this.
Let alone jumping over hurdles as you run around.
I know. So there were definitely times where I was just like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But again, like I just have to keep trying. And if it doesn't happen, I need to at least know that I've done everything possible to try and get there.
And so you got there. It must have been the most amazing feeling. Tell us about Tokyo. What was the experience? What was it like with COVID? How was it?
Yeah, so Tokyo was amazing. And I think it was a lot better than everyone thought it was going to be, because, they told us there was going to be all these restrictions and you weren't going to be able to go to the track and watch. And we were able to do all of that, obviously just for our event, but I was at the track every night that I could. I was able to see all of my teammates compete. The stadium was beautiful. Even though we didn't have any spectators, there's still a lot of atmosphere in the stadium. I think my race was just, when it was over, it was just very emotional. It was a really mixed emotions. Like I was so happy to be there. I knew that I was in the worst shape I'd been in years. So you don't want to go to the Olympics. Because I was cleared to race 6 weeks by my surgeon 6 weeks before the Olympics. So I had 6 weeks of full training under my belt. I knew I was so underdone. So yeah, it was like so happy that I was there. And then also I'm in the worst shape of not in my life, but in not great shape.
Not where you were, not where you wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And as an athlete, when you're not in shape.
Yeah. It's not the best feeling, is it?
No. And you can't, you're at the Olympics, you can't hide. That's it. Everyone's there. So yeah, it was amazing, but also it was a mixed emotions, definitely.
Yeah, I know for me watching back at home, the Olympics was a huge uplift for everyone because we've been in lockdown. But in particular, watching your race, I was almost crying the whole lap as you were going around, and I was just cheering so hard because where you were, in February to 6 weeks out to actually making it into Tokyo and standing behind the line, gun goes, you go. I just think that's so phenomenal and really inspiring. So
thank you.
Congratulations. What advice would you give to any young teenager who's sort of going through a bit of turmoil, either with injuries and trying to stay in sport, or just going through a rough time in life in general?
I think like it's one thing that I've sort of like said, it's just like, it's like everything's going to be okay. And I know sometimes in that moment where you feel like you just can't see that it's going to happen, like, and I feel like just knowing that everything's going to work out, like right now you're going through something that's really hard, but it's going to get better. And that's something that I had to keep reminding myself, and something that I kept telling myself, like, this is just a speed bump. You will, even if like we don't end up going to the Olympics, like you'll still have your health, you'll still be able to run. So I think knowing that things will get better, that's definitely a really big thing. And I just having a really good support, like creating an environment that's going to make you sort of be the best athlete you can be, like having a good support network around you. That's probably like, this wouldn't have happened. I couldn't have got back in time for the Olympics without like the support network of people I have around me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, anything else you'd like to add?
I guess in my career as an athlete, like I've sort of done things a little bit backwards. Like I took some time off to focus on, you know, my working career and things like that. And I think finding that balance can be really tough with being an elite athlete, because, you know, it can't be all sport all the time. You got to have other things in your life. So I think, and it's taken me a long time to kind of find that balance. So that's probably something, just working out like what's best for you is probably one thing that I would say.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think a lot of people these days struggle with that balance, particularly now that we've moved to a very online society. I think everyone's just screen time and go, go, go. So yeah, finding balance is really important. Thank you for that. So thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah. It's been awesome talking to you. Hopefully everyone out there, well, I'm sure everyone out there listening to this will 100% pull something out of the interview. But I really appreciate you joining us today on PDHP with Miss Power.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.